Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alfie Veretto, President of the Airline Passenger Experience Association.
I am Superman, and I know what's happening.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to the 2014 Apex and IFSA Expo here in super sunny Anaheim, California. I'm hoping everybody's enjoying the weather. The Expo, of course, is our grand event of the year. People come from all over the world, traveling for many, many hours, or some of us just from right down the street. And the Expo is just a great event for us, and I wanted to talk a little bit specifically. People always come up and ask me, you know, what's the Expo about? What does the Expo do for me? What can it do for me? And so I just wanted to share a personal story. I went to my very first Expo about a little over 10 years ago. It was in Seattle. It was like the Expos were in like Seattle for 3 years in a row, so I thought that's the only place that we went was Seattle. But my first year there, I was super excited. I was working at Frontier Airlines. We had this idea of creating IFE on board the aircraft, so I started reaching out to people, and they told me, you've got to go, you got to be a member of, at the time it was the WAEA. They told me you have to be a member of the WAEA, you've got to go to this great expo, it's just amazing, you're going to be really impressed. So I was super excited. Went to Seattle, did everything that was on the agenda, I went to. I got up at 7 in the morning to go to an AGM and vote for president and secretary and all that stuff. But I remember walking around, listening to people, talking to people, walking around the booths, and I was just inspired. You walk around, and you'll see this week when you're going through the expo, you'll walk around and you'll see hardware companies coming up with the newest, latest, greatest invention that you never thought you'd actually ever see on an airplane. You'll go and you'll meet with a lot of the different studios, the distributors. You'll see all this great content that you got to see on TV, and now that you get to bring to your people on board an aircraft. You see software companies, and now this day and age we're starting to see Wi-Fi companies, and just all these companies, labs, everything, just all melded into one place. And so you get to walk around, and it's truly just an inspiration. I left the expo, was super psyched, I had all this energy. I remember starting to call up all my movie studio people and everybody that I'd already talked to. I said, oh my God, that was so great. I said, I have all these ideas, and we're going to do them tomorrow. Didn't happen tomorrow, but it did eventually happen. And Frontier launched with an IFE system. And so I just wanted to share with you my personal journey through the years and coming to the expo. And I think it just shows, you know, when you come to the expo, if you're an airline, you know, you're getting inspired to see what you can do for the future. When you're a vendor, you're driven to try and find and design that newest and greatest thing that you know the airlines are going to want. And from an individual perspective, you're just truly inspired to want to go out and do great things. So that's my personal experience with the expo. And now, thanks to our friends at Global Eagle Entertainment, we're going to show you a welcome video, so please enjoy.
It might just be the second oldest question next to why. It's a step closer to unlocking something great, something powerful. It's the key we rattle in locked doors to free ourselves to unknowable futures. What if extends our minds beyond what is to contemplate what may be? What if a flight delay was enjoyable and a 6-hour flight just wasn't enough? Or if language wasn't a barrier and wealth had no bearing on being treated like royalty? What if a home-cooked dinner in a movie wasn't as nostalgic as a meal and the stars? Or if floating in the clouds wasn't just a dream and you could capture that dream with a single touch? What if we're all trapped by the way we think and we're not the only ones trying to make a change? Or if all minds were great and your crazy, out-of-control human experiences and ideas are actually a fine-tuned masterpiece? What if the world changed the meaning of what if to grab the worry and past regret by a strong hold and transform it into something positive, to a future of possibility? Our perspective, our lives, technology, and the world can change. What if the key was in your hands?
Yes. Thank you again to our friends at Global Eagle Entertainment for bringing us that video. I also want to take time to mention all of our sponsors for this great event, because without our sponsors, we wouldn't all be here today. We've been highlighting a lot of our sponsors as you were walking in. We're going to be highlighting them throughout the week, but I wanted to bring some recognition to a few of them for this morning. I want to thank Watermark, Clearwater Seafoods and Gourmet Foods for sponsoring last night's welcome reception. So I know a lot of us were there last night. It was a great event. We got to mingle, got to start saying hello to our old friends. It was really a lot of fun last night. I also want to thank Airbus for the breakfast this morning. Thank you to them. And then I want to thank Encore In-Flight Limited and Sunbury Limited, who will be sponsoring our morning break. And then we'll be able to enjoy snacks all this afternoon thanks to our friends at Encore. So please give them all a big round of applause. They are feeding us well. We will be hydrated throughout the day. Lastly, what I would like to do is I want to take some time to thank every one of our members who serve on a committee. It's a tireless volunteer effort. They dedicate so much time and energy to making sure that all of us here have education, that we have great events to go to, make sure that we market ourselves well, great committees that make sure that we get the right people running the board, the awards, all different levels of committees that we have as a part of the association. And so they asked me backstage to have them stand up so we could give them a round of applause, but I know that's embarrassing, so I'm not going to make you do that. But instead, what I'm going to ask you to do is, as you're walking through the expo, or as you're walking today during the education classes, if you see somebody with a lanyard, and they've got a little ribbon that says Governance Committee or Marketing Committee or Education Committee, stop them and say thank you. 99% of the chance you probably already know that person anyway, may not have known that they were a volunteer. Give them a thank you, a hug. If you see Dominic Green, his ribbons are like down to here, just give that man a hug and a kiss, because I don't know how he does his day job doing all the stuff that he does for us. And now it's my pleasure to welcome the president of IFSA, Pam Suter-Smith.
As well as Alfie, I'd like to thank you all and welcome you to the Expo. We are really excited to have the Expo this year. It's going to be very exciting. As many of you may know, this is 5 years of partnership in between APEX and IFSA to present this show. Together, our planning committees are working to provide something new, exciting, showcase the innovation, and have integrated education, networking opportunities, and also you can walk the entire trade show. I also, like Alfie, have great personal experiences with IFSA and also WAEA. Prior to being with Gate Group, I was with MGM Grand Air. And from that time, I agree, it was fantastic. Everything that you're showing at APEX, new, exciting innovations, technologically, that's where we're at. Same thing on IFSA. Who doesn't look at food trends, get excited about something new that you see, the appearance? So the two organizations really come together to make the passenger experience fantastic. I would like to thank the really hardworking people that put together this conference. And this is the Conference Planning Committee. Their names are on the screens in front of you. I am going to embarrass the IFSA Conference Planning Committee and would like you to stand up, and I would appreciate an applause for the Conference Planning Committee. Thank you. They're standing at the back. Okay. Jay Cravens from Delta Airlines is our chair. He has worked throughout the year with the APEX Planning Committee to present this conference for you. I'd like to tell you a little bit about today. Today, you're going to be having your general sessions this morning. We will break for lunch at noon. And then we will have key breakout hot topic sessions in the afternoon. There is no registration required for this. You go to any hot topic that you find interesting, and we'd really like you to go to these. Following that, we're going to be having our annual business meetings for both APEX and for IFSA. As Alfie stated, it is really great to be a part of the board. I mean, you are on the leading edge of creating something of value for our entire industry. And our industry consists of airlines, suppliers, in our case, caterers as well. Working together, we can do it all. And when you go to the annual business meetings, you'll see all the topics regarding education, ideation. So I really encourage you to go to that. This evening, we have the Apex Passenger Awards. There are still tickets available for this, and you can pick them up at the registration desk. And then this evening, we will be having a foundation casino night. Just to give a plug for this, absolutely, on the IFSA side, we have given $400,000 of scholarships to various college students. We want them to come into our industry, of course, but any industry that they can go to is fantastic because education is a great thing. So we would appreciate the support of the casino night. Lastly, after the conference, we're going to be having surveys. We would appreciate if you would fill out the surveys. The surveys really let us know what's important to you so that we can make next year's conference even more important. I would, at this point, like to introduce a very special person on the Apex board. His name is Ingo. I cannot pronounce his last name, so we agreed we would just introduce Ingo, and he's going to be telling you about some really exciting trends. For this IFSA, Charlie, could you go one back slide, please? So, for our conference, just to let you know that we have 3,158 registrants, which is just fantastic. They come from 53 countries, 329 exhibitors, and we have 8,665 square meters of floor space. I have to tell you, this is really great because it even surpasses last year, which is really a fantastic year for us. And Ingo, thank you.
So thanks, Pam. It's Ingo Bugetzer, for those who might not know, but also have difficulties with that German name. Anyhow, it's a pleasure to be here this morning. I took the opportunity to introduce you some very fresh new insights that we get out of a survey, of a passenger survey that provides market insights and should bring us in a position to be really a thought leader in the industry. So, the first insight is about the pre-flight. Sorry. So not everyone hates to check bags. It's about 38% more likely that men are paying more to check bags, but in general, we see there is not at all a concern about not enough available space on board. So hand luggage is not a concern, but what we're learning out of that is the question, what is the right bin size, the topic, or is it, what is the business model around it that you provide as an airline to the passenger to generate new business or create and shape the product and service you offer. Nom Nom Fly. So it's about food. And food is important. It's important on ground, it's important in the aircraft. And people like to eat. And 62% buy food on ground before they enter an aircraft. It's about quality, it's about choice. But in general, we see that the famous airline food rumor is not true, because 70% are very satisfied with the food on board. Being on time, there's another issue, and it's by far the biggest concern on ground. Being late at the airport. Is the flight on time? This is the biggest concerns people have as they approach a flight. And then followed by seat selection and legroom. So the logistic process, IT tools, good transparent communication on personal electronic devices, all that can make your product better and increase your flight experience. Coming to the in-flight feedback. First of all, for me, that is a really precious time that you have on board. And the question is, how do you spend that? And how can we make that better? How can we make use out of that? I think the good information is, how do people spend their time? And what we see, top ranking, is watching movies. So 24% of the time spent on an aircraft, people watch movies. So I think it's good for our industry, but it's also good to know that 9% of those movies are watched on a personal device already, and that is increasing. So ranking second is reading. So it's pleasure for reading, but it's also reading of in-flight magazines, and that is covering 7%. That's quite amazing. 7%, you have a lot of things to read, but 7% people spend on reading the in-flight magazine. Sleeping that's what we all want, to arrive relaxed. That's about 16%. And gaming, nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. Of course, we work on flights, but what is happening is really that people spend about 11% on gaming, and 7%, I think that is an opportunity for us as well, on personal devices again. Ranking fifth is about eating, 8% time you spend with eating. Actually, I think that is across the segment. You eat while you watch games, movies, or while you play games, so you can eat all the time, but dedicated 8%. And so that is covering, those items are covering 80% of that time you spend on an aircraft. The remaining 20 is about talking, working, connecting, and shopping. And for me, that is a big opportunity, that connectivity, being online, is today only 6%, or shopping is only 3%. And if I think about my wife spending time online shopping at home, it's more than 3%, I guess. So I think that is a big opportunity for us to make a change in that direction. First insights about how can we improve the passenger experience. I see 3 big topics that we want to address here. It's ranking number 1 by far, with 38% belief in that more comfortable seating is the highest upgrade need for the aircrafts in general, followed by high expectation of IFEC. VFC, it's ranking low with 6% in time, but people want to do more. We have to provide a better infrastructure, maybe better business models, to encourage them to spend more time on that. And 36% see a strong demand for connectivity improvements on the aircraft. 28% want also to expand the IFE options. You see, there's still a lot of room for improvement for our industry, for innovations in the future. Last but not least, there's also a wish list. And the wish list is about, I think, more gender-specific products and services. Ranking top here, 29% of all male want to have quiet cabins. Want to sleep, I don't know exactly. But 26% of women request upgraded lavatories. More hygiene is a big topic. And you see also these little details can make the difference. So overall, I think this is covering the whole passenger experience, all elements of this, from the seat via the IFE to the food and catering services. So everything is about the passenger experience. And we have, I think, a good tool with that survey to learn and to create better innovations for that. So what we provide to you, unique, because that is our exclusive data with that service, you can structure and do your own analysis. We have a lot of different criteria that you can search and do your individual analysis. We cover about 8 countries globally. We can divide that in short, medium, and long haul. So I only showed average information, but the story for short haul or long haul is maybe very different. We have a class split in economy and business. We covered about 1,650 passengers. And demographics, we cover people from 18 to 55 years and older, and about half male and female. So I think there's a lot of more opportunities to create insights for you. And this was just a short teaser to introduce that. We will follow up on Hong Kong to show a better, more detailed presentation and provide the data online on the website for your availability. So now I'd like to introduce our morning's MC, Laura Trevelyan, anchor of the BBC World News America, which broadcasts on the network's 24 hours news channel, BBC World News. If you have been here last year, you definitely remember Laura. I'm honored and thrilled to have her join us again today. Before she does that, let's take a closer look into the life of a reporter. Welcome, Laura.
When a hurricane's coming, you hear a lot of warnings. The government warn you.
You are in the projected path of this hurricane.
Stay indoors. Get off the beach.
The media.
It's the perfect storm. Perfect storm.
The emergency services. Rain you'd think could shatter your windscreen. Then, there's a different warning. The birds. Because when they leave, it's going to strike.
The worst of the storm isn't here yet, but the conditions are dramatic and they're deteriorating by the second. The water levels are rising and the wind is very strong indeed.
Thank you, Ingo, for that introduction, and thank you to the weather for keeping hurricanes out of my brief for the last couple of years. It's very nice to see you all. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's such a pleasure to be back here because I really had fun last year and I learned so much. And in the intervening 12 months, every time I've got on a plane, I've thought very hard about what you all do to try and make that experience better. Now, in Ingo's statistics, he didn't include what I do on a plane, which is I sit there holding on to the seat or the person next to me waiting for turbulence so I can write my last will and testament, which strangely enough didn't make the top 10. But I am pleased to report a very happy experience flying here from New York, thanks to my dear colleagues in Worldwide who got me one of those nice seats which turns into a bed. I had a duvet, I had tea in a china cup. I said to my husband, it was such a nice flight. And he said, Laura, you're not frightened of flying, you just hate flying economy. And I said, well, that's just my lot, as it is for most people who fly. So I would like to make one plea, which is that as you're thinking about the passenger experience, please think about all those people in economy as well, who I think will be very excited to take advantage of all the innovations that you're talking about. So, without further ado, let's get started. This is the education session this morning, which is all about the work that you're doing to upgrade the passengers' time on board. I'd just like to remind you about the breakout tracks this afternoon. They're on comfort and ambience, content, technology, and also catering.